August 13, 2004, Hurricane Charlie, the first of 4 major storms in a historic hurricane season, hit the southwest coast of Florida. In its path were longtime Florida residents Chris and Jerry Webb in a home they had just built, and Jim Minardi and Teresa Fogolini in a home built in the 60s. Even though the two homes are right next to one another, their experiences could not have been more different.
The howling was incredible. Just picked up our roof, threw it into the sailboat, threw it into their pool cage, and threw a lot of the stuff into the canal. It was really scary at that point.
While Jim Minardi found it necessary to vacate his home at the storm's peak, Chris and Jerry Webb were relatively unfazed by staying put.
We felt very comfortable in our home, and I felt comfortable as far as having others come here out of the storm.
Why did one homeowner sustain only minor damage when his neighbor's house was severely impacted? In short, the difference in the building codes and practices when the two homes were constructed. Many of Florida's building practices were bolstered in recent years in the wake of the damage left by Hurricane Andrew.
There were lessons learned in Andrew that were brought here even before the building codes totally caught up with the changes that needed to be in place. And then since the codes have caught up with that, the newer construction has done quite well.
I certainly feel that I would not have felt comfortable in a lot of the homes that were built in the late 60s or early 70s with essentially no hurricane code at that time. The current hurricane codes, if you look around Punta Gorda, made a heck of a difference.
But for those without the protection of upgraded building codes and enhanced building practices, there is only frustration.
The added cost, I think, is insignificant compared to the disaster that takes place when you totally lose your home and contents and things that really aren't replaceable.
That's the message that organizations like IBHS, FEMA, and the Federal Alliance for Safe Homes have been preaching ever since Hurricane Andrew. It may cost a little more to build a home right, but it's worth it.
Some of the most satisfied and proud people in the state of Florida right now are the builders who build with quality in mind and have customers who were safe inside their homes and whose lives were not disrupted. Those are really some of the true heroes of this hurricane season.
And it's not only the homeowners who benefit when houses withstand the storm.
For every house that is built in a safer way in a hurricane-prone area, it's really a long-term savings for the federal government and the taxpayer, because those are less dollars that the federal government has to spend on temporary housing, on debris pickup, on other kinds of emergency services.
What is the key to storm-resistant construction? Keeping its connections in place, roof to wall, floor to floor, and floor to foundation. The roof is your first line of defense in a storm. Securely anchor roof to wall connections by installing hurricane clips. Secure floor to floor connections by making sure each floor is connected to the one below, also with straps or clips. Wall to foundation connections should be made through the use of anchor bolts. The other key to home survival is keeping windows in place so wind cannot penetrate your home and compromise it from within. Though these loss prevention measures are an investment in your home, it's one that Jim and Teresa wish now that they had made.
Spend that extra money because I think you're just asking for trouble. You're going to go through something, whether it's 5 years from now or 40 years from now, and you're going to end up in a situation where you have a house potentially like this, and now, you're without a home, have to rebuild or even repair.